Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. Hey, good afternoon. Sorry I'm late. This governorship thing is just kind of taking it all out of me. And but we got a lot to talk about today. We've got a couple of guests. We got one. It's probably one of my favorite guests to ever come on the show, and we're going to talk about oil and what's happening in the region with Iran and the implications of this. We hope that this is short-lived, but we don't know. And so Vince Lanci is a publisher at GoldFix. He's also a professor of finance. We talk a lot about gold and silver. He's been on before. And we're going to talk about this war. We're going to talk about what's going on right now. So Vince, welcome to the show.
Joe, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate the time. The timing is pretty important given what's going on in the Middle East. So should we just get into it?
Yeah, I mean, look, oil's at $98. It goes up and down $10, $15 a day, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, like there's two tracks to this, I think, that are important for your listeners. One is the obvious track that you're discussing right now, and that essentially is that food prices will go up, fertilizer prices will go up, which will drive food prices up, energy prices are going to go up, and we're entering into a stagflationary environment. There's another parallel that's kind of eerie. Now, it's before my time and probably even before your time, Joe. But 1956 is when we had the Suez Canal crisis, and it was very similar to what we're seeing right now. Back then, Great Britain and France were trying to control the Suez Canal, and Egypt pushed back. And when they pushed back, Great Britain and France thought they could control it just pure military might. And what they didn't count on was the U.S. saying, we're not going to back you. We didn't back them. And so they lost. Now, when you bring that to present day, President Trump is now looking for people to work with him to help police this area, and no one is joining that. And so when you combine these things together, there's a similarity to Suez that not only is a stagflationary similarity, but there's a similarity in terms of the, what's the word I'm looking for? The sunset of an empire, because it was the Suez Canal disaster that basically showed the world that France and Great Britain were no good without our financial might behind them. And it may seem now that if we don't get someone to help us, we're going to be struggling to spending a lot of money, and again, feeding into the stagflation, and that on top of the fact that it is a war, and there's death, and it's painful, it's just we're going to be spending money we don't have. And so I know everyone is talking that it's going to be short. I don't think it will be short, and I don't think the effects will be short-lived, and I'm concerned about the future in terms of stagflation and prices. It's not reflected in gold right now, but we're talking about oil, and it's reflected in oil in spades.
Okay, so there's also a element here that made oil prices go up related to insurance, and you always had Lloyd's of London that insures most of the ships that come through that area, and they've said we're going to pull out. The U.S. said that they would step in and they would create new policies and that they would insure those shipments. So far, oil's gone to $98, but not because of the supply that's available, but because of the risk to the supply coming through that channel.
That's right.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me if we want to look at holistically the oil supplies and where some oil supplies come from, where they go. Tell me why this area by itself is causing this much pain.
Well, 20% of the world's oil comes out of the Strait of Hormuz. And the Strait of Hormuz is a little narrow strait. And you have Iraq, Kuwait, Oman and Qatar and Iran all surfacing all on that coast. And if Iran is controlling one side of the coast and preventing ships from getting out, then what ends up happening is you end up having a bottleneck, and they have to find other routes to get the oil across. So instead of going south out of the strait, if we had a map, I'd show you. Instead of going south out of the strait, they have to go west across a pipeline. And the pipeline is like a straw compared to the fire hose that the canal is, or the strait is. So not only is 20% of the oil coming out of that, you made the point of insurance. And, you know, this will give you an idea of how serious it can be. The reason oil is up right now is because, as you noted, the insurance costs are going to go through the roof. And Lloyd's of London and whoever else is supposed to insure these things is backing out on the insurance, which puts the U.S. on the hook for financing it if we want to keep the oil flowing. So at the first stage of the insurance problem, you have the U.S. saying we're going to foot the bill for it. That's taxpayer money. We're going to insure these tankers. The second thing is, and there are two layers, without getting too wonky about it, there are two layers to the oil infrastructure. One layer is storage. So right now they're blowing up storage facilities. And if you blow up a storage facility, that's, believe it or not, really not that bad. It's basically a storage tanker. But what started happening yesterday is, last night, is Israel bombed the Pars refinery area. Now, what is that? The difference between the not so bad and so bad in terms of what you're destroying is if you start destroying refineries, those are things that don't come back online in 6 days. That's like destroying the infrastructure for oil itself. And then what you have is you'll have less production being made even when the strait becomes reopened. And if it becomes reopened, you'll have less oil coming out of it, which means everyone's fighting for higher priced oil that's out there, and that just causes more stagflation. And it gets worse. Iran is telling people that they'll let oil through if the oil is priced in yuan as opposed to in dollars. So Iran is basically blackmailing the strait, trying to get people to stop using dollars to use yuan. So the whole thing seems to be an organized extortion racket that's going to put a dent in the reputation for the U.S. dollar. I mean, it's you got three levels of problems. You have the insurance problem, which we're paying for, right? And in order to pay for the insurance problem, you have military escorts that have to go through. Then you have the actual infrastructure that's starting to get blown up. Then on top of that, you have the heresy, for lack of a better word, coming out of Iran saying that they'll let tankers through if those tankers do not price the oil in dollars. So we have I won't curse, but I'll say we have a cluster blank coming up right now. And I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And oil market can rally $10 on the next news item, no problem at all. And $100 oil will be the support, not the resistance. And, you know, by the way, we talk about WTI, Joe, you and I, about oil. Well, the oil that's being traded and being used over there is already trading $110, $120. So that oil has exploded in price. And that's only going to make our oil go up even higher over time as it trickles towards us. So it's a bad situation. I'm not happy about it.
So how do we get away from it? I mean, what's the answer? I don't think anybody is astutely aware. I think everyone's astutely aware of the price of oil and gas prices over $4 a gallon. But look, people are suffering so much right now inside the communities in nearly every state. People in Colorado, there's a friend of mine that runs a pantry up in northern part of Colorado. His pantry is bare. He's like, Joe, people can't afford to feed their families. And we're only 3 weeks in. So what's the outcome of this if we can't get this under control? Because energy prices go through the roof, which means food prices are going to go through the roof, which means we're in a state of near collapse. And I hate to say that like the sky's falling, but they're not trying to solve the problem. It's more important. And I'm anti the war part, by the way. I don't think that I'm on Joe Kent's side on this. I wouldn't have gone into Iran personally.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why we would go in, but I can't see why we went in. It doesn't seem like, unless there's something that we don't know. But I think, you know, your first question was, how do we get out of it? And you know what? That's a really good question, because if I don't have an answer to it, it's a really good question, because there's no way we can extricate ourselves from this, I think, cleanly and simply. To your point about domestic prices, we haven't even begun to see the inflationary effect of $100 oil and food. $100 oil translates to a 30% increase in food prices over an 8-month to 1 year period. We haven't even begun to see that yet. So it's like a canned food hoarding situation. But no, I mean, really, I mean, I'm not exaggerating this. This is $100 oil adds 30% to the cost of food that we import. And that's food that's using fertilizer as well. Now, on top of that, trying to extricate ourselves from this means we have to either spend all the money to control the situation or share some of the power in order to get people to help us. And that brings us back to the whole Suez Canal thing. It's really, if we really do need someone to help us get out of this, then we shouldn't have been there to begin with, obviously. It's questionable. It's questionable why we're doing so much in partnership with Israel. And it does seem that the whole thing is, you know, a cluster. It's a cluster F waiting to happen. We haven't even the thing that I just want to say over and over again is we haven't even begun to feel the inflationary pressures of this. And you're telling me pantries are already empty?
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's going to be even emptier if that's possible, if this continues. And it doesn't have to, unless oil goes back to $70, which is still above where it was. Unless oil goes back to $70 in the next, say, 2 weeks, we're going to have a permanent increase in prices of up to 30% on food in the next 6 months to 1 year. And I'm pretty certain of that, based on how food prices go. And the cure for that, Joe, if we can't get out of this, the cure for that is stimulus. We'll probably start getting stimulus checks again, which will help the people that need it, but just basically kick the can down the road for the problem. On top of that, Powell needs to cut rates because of the credit problem, and he can't do that because oil's trading $100. So we are damned if you do and damned if you don't right now.
Well,
And
he could cut rates. He could
he
cut rates,
should.
which would, what's that?
he should cut rates. You're right, he should.
Yeah,
But he's
and if he cuts rates right now, he could have an effect of a run on money to actually lower costs for people. It could also lower those that are tied to prime. We have prime rate, could create some relief, even if it's minuscule. It would still create some relief, but they won't do it because this is an opportunistic opportunity. You want to take meat until literally the animal's almost dead, right? You want to take as much from the animal until it's almost dead. And that's the problem with what we have going on in our country, is that they have taken so much from the American people, and not just people here, but people globally. And they take just enough to make them barely survive, and then they'll let them recover. It's like this idea that you can push people to a brink.
You're bleeding.
Yeah.
We're shearing the sheep. We're shearing sheep.
We're shearing the blood out of the sheep, not the wool.
Right. I guess when we're done with that, we just butcher them. That seems to be what's the path that we're on. I agree with you, and I don't think Powell's going to cut for that reason, and also for the reason that he's a short timer. He's out of there in I think 5 months, so he's probably just praying that he can get away with not cutting one more time, so he can claim victory, even as he leaves a decimated economy.
Well, what is he claiming victory to?
Well, remember, he had to drive inflation to 2%. He doesn't want to lower interest rates. He doesn't want his legacy to be the guy who stoked inflation. And he probably feels that whoever succeeds him Trump will influence into lowering rates. So he's going to do nothing for the next 3 months, in my opinion. And then whoever comes on after him is going to cut rates. That's how it went down today at the FOMC, based on how he acted there as well.
So, do you think he's doing the bidding of like World Economic Forum? You think he's tied into all that whole deal?
Oh, yeah,
Can I ask that question, or is it you gonna?
No, you could definitely ask that. I'm shaking my head because, yeah, you know what? This sucks to say, but yeah, it does. It does feel that way. Look, whether you like it or not, whether you want to be objective or not, I'm not anti talking about politics, because politics is policy, and policy is what influences people to do these things. And Powell's about to go into private service in the private sector, so he needs to toe the line with the World Economic Forum and the Bilderberg types. So I mean, he's part of the club that we're not in, and anything that will make his resume look better, even if it makes the economy look worse as he's exiting, he's going to do, and that's to keep himself in good stead with the people that he's going to be working with afterwards. So I agree with you.
Okay. Gold and silver.
Down. Silver is easy to explain. I'll explain that first, and then gold is something that I just disagree with. Silver is trading $76, which is down from $80 over the last week or so. During the first, when you have a stagflationary environment, the first part of the stagflationary environment is the equity markets and the economy get destroyed. People start getting fired. Nobody's getting solar panels installed. And so there's less demand for silver on the industrial side. And that will weigh on the market at first. What's interesting is that they're selling gold as well. And they're selling gold, it would seem, because gold may have been a little bit overinflated to begin with, participating with stocks. But I have a strong opinion on it, and it's rooted in math. And the math is that in the first 90 days of any war, gold is a crapshoot. It could be up or down 18%. The next 6 months, gold on average is up 18.9%. So this makes sense. Oil goes up now, gold goes up later. And that's what happens when you have a stagflationary economy. And silver will recover too. I mean, silver's probably a good buy in this area. I'm not recommending people do anything. You do your own due diligence, but I'm looking at buying some more for myself right now.
Yeah, so this is where we get into those areas where kind of sticky areas, I like to call them, where you go, okay, do I bet on double green zeros? Is this bet on black? Is it bet on red? You're going back and forth going, I feel like I have dual personalities. And this is just from an investment standpoint. I'm not talking about, by the way, the things that are happening to people because they can't afford to pay their bills, right?
Right.
But this all comes down, when we talk about gold and silver, and we talk about even oil, it comes down to almost like a triage or an arbitrage market, where we're looking at this specifically as it relates to war decisions. We're almost war gaming things inside of an economic environment. So we're not actually looking at this from a geopolitical or a foreign or domestic policy. Everything that we're doing right now drives towards opportunities where you see oil's up, oil companies are going to make more. That oil's already out of the ground. They're going to hope the price comes down by the time they get back at it, so that they still have then controlled costs. So everything is like this thing where they make it on the yo-yo. You make more money on the yo-yo.
Right. That's true. The your comment about the triage is interesting, because that is what's starting to happen. Domestically, people are going to start making decisions that are going to affect them on a day-to-day basis. So what the price of oil does today determines how many miles I drive to go pick something up. Now, on the oil company thing, it's interesting because when we had a crisis in the 70s and 80s, oil companies were not as well run,
right?
And miners were not as well run, and as a result of that, producers didn't have enough production, and so after the first round, they actually suffered. But now the bigger companies like Exxon, well, they don't just drill for oil, they make the gasoline. Excuse me. Result of that, they're making money hand over fist in what we call the crack spreads. So they have the oil, but they also own the refineries. So every refinery that shuts down in Iran makes the refinery that Exxon owns that much more valuable. And the price of fuel and diesel go up that much more. Not to mention that you use jet fuel when you're over in a war, and that's not helping the price of things either.
All right, so they get it under control. I think they just got an agreement. I just saw they had an agreement where some of the countries that said they're not going to get involved are now going to get involved in making sure that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be will be protected. Right? Is that what I just saw?
I haven't seen that, but that's something that we were asking for. So yes.
So do you think
makes
that'll
sense.
ease oil prices? Because I saw all the things that said we have a deal, we don't have a deal, we have a deal, we don't have a deal. All day,
Right, exactly.
oil prices been going like this.
Exactly. No, it's exactly what happened. It opened lower. It went $2.70 higher, and then we have a deal, and then it was down $1 on the day. So yeah, right now it's like you said, it's on a yo-yo, and the yo-yo is. But to answer your question, do I think this will help oil? I think any news that comes out about oil that is helpful, even if it doesn't foster in the long run, will give us temporary relief. But I don't see the relief as anything more than temporary, unless all the other Gulf states turn on Iran. And it's possible that they might. I just don't see how we're going to have them do that overnight. It takes time.
Here's the problem. Saudi Arabia is not going to turn on Iran. You want to know why? And they don't particularly like them. Because they're actually benefiting from $90 oil. This smells eerily familiar to 2008, 2009, when the predictors were that oil was going to hit 130, 140.
Well, economically, this is definitely rhyming with 2008, 2009. There are three things that happened before the crash and the great financial crisis.
Right.
One was oil prices went to $140. That was the first one. The second one was interest rates were going up. The Fed refused to cut rates when they should have, especially the ECB. Europe made it even worse. And the third thing is you had a credit problem, and the credit problem was subprime back then. What do we have now? We have oil approaching $100 on the way to 130. We have a Fed that refuses to cut rates, and we have a credit problem, which is showing up in the private equity area, private credit. So it's humming the same tune, and I think there's a problem that could happen if we don't have cutting. We're going to have either we're going to have stagflation or we're going to have recession. Both are bad. That's what I think. Anyway, so I agree with you. There's a lot to be said about the 08 parallel.
Well, and the 08 was largely manufactured in advance of that. If you say 08, but I mean, we knew the problems were happening in 07 if you just look back at it, because in 2007, remember, you remember what Bush was saying in early 2007, everybody go buy a car. That's right. He's going to solve the problem. We're just going to sell cars. Everybody's going to buy a new car, and we're going to give you some benefits for doing that, and you're going to jumpstart the economy.
Right. That's right.
You remember that?
Don't stop shopping. Yeah, don't stop shopping. It was like it worked after 9/11, so they were talking about it in 08 as well. I remember that.
So it was November of 2007. I wrote this memo that said consumer confidence is at an all-time high. That was a lie, but they said it was at an all-time high. And I was like, 2008 is literally going to be the great collapse. And I remember my buddy sending the memo back to me because I wrote it for this plan that I was doing for an investment. And he goes, "How did you know?" And I was like, "I actually didn't know. I just predicted it based on all this stuff." It was like the perfect storm. We had never had all these things happen all at the same time at these highs, except for in the 1920s and early 1920s or late 1920s and even early 1940s. So it was predictable.
Well, that's quite a call. I wish I had made that call.
I wish I would have done something with it.
Yeah, I know. How do you? But what could we have done? Short housing?
Short
How do you do
house.
that?
You could have just short everything at that point. I mean, you could have just made
I
money
know.
just saying, all right, what are you going to short? The whole market.
It doesn't matter. Just pick something. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Bear Stearns.
Right. Bear Stearns is fine, Jim Cramer said.
He did. Remember that?
Yeah, he did. That was his big thing. Don't take your money out of Bear Stearns. They're fine. They're solid. That's his claim to fame now. That's like, what in my opinion makes him a financial hack. So,
well, he did it again. He did it with the Silicon Valley Bank, SVB. Remember?
He did.
He was pimping it. He was pimping it 3 weeks before they actually went insolvent.
I mean, he's so chronically wrong. I mean, I don't want to just make this a hate fest, but he's so chronically wrong that I have to think that he's been tasked to make these statements to make people calm, like to hold everyone's hand when things are getting worse. I feel like he's part of the problem.
Well, there's no question. I mean, there's no question he's a part of the problem. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Okay, so we've got. I mean, I only got you for another couple more minutes. What do you think President Trump does at this point? You think he pulls back on some of these war things, or you think he finishes?
Oh, Jesus! That there's the whole taco trade. People talk about he'll chicken out. I think he's beyond chickening out, and I think he can't get out of it now if he wants to. If he gets out of it now, he loses a lot of face, and China looks at us very weakly if he backs out now. So I don't think. What does he do now? Well, let's see. He's worried about midterms, so he's going to jawbone things more. Maybe he'll talk about a stimulus check of some sort. Affordability. The key word is affordability. There'll be the Affordability Act or something like that. There'll be an emergency stimulus check. I mean, I'm not married to that idea, but I know that they're thinking about it. They have to be thinking about it. A tax credit for people for energy. But with regards, that's domestically. But internationally, behind the scenes, we have to be giving something up that we don't know about yet to be getting this stuff done. Like, what are we giving to get the other nations to help us? Like more fighter jets, higher oil. We're giving something up. This isn't free. Whatever we're getting out of this that you're identifying right now isn't free. I wonder what we're giving up to get it. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do, but I don't think he's going to chicken out because he's too far into this now. It's definitely a chicken out situation. And plus there's the Israel factor. What does Israel do? I mean, why?
Look, I mean, I've already told you before, I don't agree that we should be running our policy through another country in the Middle East. And I don't believe that they should have influence on our policy happening in the United States. And in large part, the American people have suffered every single time that we've made a decision based on the sovereignty of another nation. We have suffered great consequences. We can go back to Korea, we can look at Vietnam, we can look at, any of the wars that we fought, even what we did in Afghanistan and Iraq. There was great human cost for us here. And there was no benefit other than $1 trillion and maybe some access to, defense fund contractors that they got paid a bunch of money to transport oil and to, create opportunity over the Middle East for themselves. But the American people never made anything out of it. And the same thing can be said for this. We're over in Iran. We're bombing the shit out of Iran. And even if all the Gulf states decide to come together around them and say, okay, let's finish the job, every single one of those Gulf states can be looking at each other saying, are we next?
Yeah, exactly. It's just another excuse to de-dollarize. I mean, if I'm a Middle Eastern country, even if I don't like what Iran's doing, when it's over and the U.S. pulls out, I have to live with Iran, and more importantly, I have to worry about if I'm going to be next. Just like every other BRICS nation said, you froze Russia's assets, will you freeze ours next? So, I mean, who controls Israel if the U.S. doesn't? And that's got to be a concern for the Muslim nations. I mean, I don't think Israel's going to do anything, but that's not the point. The point is perception. Who's next? Who's next? That's exactly right. That's the situation.
Well, and that raises a bunch of other questions, and I'll leave it at this because I'll get your last question. I know you got a hard out. I'll leave it at this. We went to war The stock market is relatively unchanged. I think it's down, maybe 5% since all this started, right? It's de minimis. I mean, it'll pop back up from there.
Right.
Stocks go up, stocks go down. We see this thing happening. You can actually make money on it if you follow the flow. Like every day, just get in low, get it high. We could ride the wave. What's AI doing to play a part in this market frenzy that we have going on right now?
Well, AI is just, I mean, what it's doing better, as good, if not better than me. And that is, AI is finding, I have a grid I could share with you, that you might want to share with your people. There's a grid out there that shows the jobs that are going to be affected. Basically, if you're in finance, if you work on a computer screen, your job will be 50% of it will be gone inside of a year. And you're seeing, let's see, Microsoft is laying off. I can't even think of the other companies laying off, but there are a lot of layoffs coming on in the last 2 months that are showing what a big problem this is going to be. And you know what? Here's the scary thing for me, Joe, as an economics type of person. When you have a new technology that allows you to fire people and not cost you any money, and you have a recession that's coming, you tend to do it faster. You'll adapt the cost cutting measures faster than you would if things were going well. So we could end up with 7% inflation and 6% unemployment inside of 6 months if this keeps up.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I want to have you back on, so I'm going to talk about silver. I'm still telling people, this is my advice, go buy silver. I mean, at $75, I still think it goes to $200. I just do. Matter of fact,
So do I.
I don't think the amount of money we're spending on munitions and warheads that have to be replaced and things that we're doing right now, that there's anything other than the ability for gold and silver to go up, right? Because it matches the market, right? You look at over time, it just matches the market.
Metals over 90 days don't matter. Metals over 6 months go up. That's where I am. I'm with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, brother, thanks for joining me again. I do pray that we end this war and we get back to an America First agenda, but that's just me.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
I appreciate it.
And good luck. And good luck with the election.
Thanks, brother. Take care. So I hope to have Vince back on again before I go through the primary process, which is going to the assemblies this week. We're going to the assemblies, but hey, next guest. Sorry, I'm not actually tired at all. I don't know where that came from. Now, our next guest is going to be, imagine having Tina Peters 2.0. Before we go into this, I'm going to play a few things, because this by itself should teach you everything that we've been talking about for the last 6 years. And I put a post up. Let's put the post up first that I answered to it, because this is in response to the video you're about to watch. I said nearly 6 years ago, over 900 flights, nearly 6 years, over 900 flights, ridicule, lawsuits, threats, attacks, and in the end, only to be proven right. Here's the sad thing. Glenn, Solomon, nearly all the talking heads were silent and contributed to the ridicule and shaming against the truth. I'm grateful for the final realization, but let's be honest. We had the proof 5 years ago, and they believed the mainstream media called us crazy, and now it's bigger than politics. You don't say. Let's hear Glenn Beck. He decided he's singing a different tune, a tune that most people should have been, but they weren't. They were cowards. And in large part, this will be the second go-through that Glenn Beck has been a coward. And I don't think he's a coward meaning that he's just any different than most cowards. Most people don't have the courage to stand up and speak the truth and be authentic about it. Most people don't have the ability to do what I do every single day. I've been this way for the entire time that I've been out there in the public eye. Even before it was Joe Oltmann, when we had this pseudo name that we used, Joe Otto. I was still out doing the same thing. I was speaking the truth and talking about the truth when I worked over in the Middle East and Africa. I spoke the truth. I worked the problem. And in our society, we don't work the problem. And if I go back to the time of Glenn Beck, and remember when Glenn Beck had the 1 Million Man March, he was going to go into Washington, and he chickened out. He chickened out because, well, I don't know, because sometimes, you know, you just don't have courage. But let's hear it from him. He's going to talk about the 2020 election. Let's hear it from him.
By April 2020, U.S. intelligence knew something explosive. China had gained access to American voter registration data across multiple states. Not ballots, but names, addresses, driver's license, partial social security numbers. Think of this, how dangerous this is. They have your name, address, driver's license, and social security number. Do you know what could be done by fraud alone? This is the kind of data you don't need to change a vote. You need it to influence vote, to impersonate, to target, to manipulate. And they didn't just take it, they analyzed it. China took it, they studied it, they mapped American voters like a battlefield. When you have this kind of information, they can influence what you read, what you see, all the time. Here's the part that's really frustrating. Our government knew this in 2020. There were clear intelligence reports that we're just finding out now. In 2026, there were briefings. There was even a presidential daily briefing that talked about it. Congress wasn't told. The American people weren't told. And according to whistleblowers, now even the president of the United States wasn't fully informed, but I don't think that guy knew his shoes were on at times. The reports were blocked, they were buried, they were hidden, and at the same time, you were told something very different. You were told this election is the most secure in history. There is no real foreign interference to worry about, so don't question it. How is that possible? How is that possible? China is harvesting voter data. Chinese-linked groups are running influence campaigns. Not was, are. Thousands of fake driver's licenses are being seized, mostly from China. And an FBI intelligence report raising concerns about fraudulent mail-in voting schemes, that's pulled back. Told to be deleted. And the day after testimony said, nothing to see here, nothing happened. No, there's nothing happening. Let me be clear about something. There is no smoking gun like this. The voting machines were hacked. Not like this. That's not the story. This story is much more dangerous than that, because you don't need to hack a machine when you can hack people. Here's the question that our press should be asking. How is it we can secure our nuclear weapon systems? How is it we can secure our military networks, our SWIFT global banking system, our intelligence infrastructure all around the world, but we cannot secure my ID and my vote? Don't tell me it's too complicated. Don't tell me it's too expensive. Don't tell me it's impossible. We put a rover on Mars. We track trillions of dollars across continents in milliseconds. Milliseconds. We can verify your identity to open a bank account, board a plane, buy a house, but voting, that's too hard. What? No, it's not that we can't secure it. It's that for some reason, and maybe I should check Punchbowl News, for some reason, the people in charge don't want it secured, which leads to the only question that matters. Why?
Why? Because you're a slave. That's why. They don't want to get to a place where you have free and fair elections. Look, the SAVE Act, you got these clowns out there that's saying that it's going to disenfranchise voters. What's going to disenfranchise voters more? You tell me. The fact that you don't have a voice and they're trying to pass bills to strip you of your First Amendment, your Second Amendment rights, they'll just walk past them all. They'll say, well, we have state rights. Let's legalize prostitution. Let pedophiles rape children. Because this is normal in our world. 95% of the public thinks these people are absolutely nuts, but yet they get put in positions of power and trust all over our system. They're our judges. They're part of our legislative group. They're our politicians, our bureaucrats, our lawyers. And somewhere along the line, we go, this is normal. It's not normal. And here's what Glenn Beck got wrong. He talked about the function of it's the big scary country out there called China. Let me tell you where it happened. People in our country have betrayed their own people. That's what's happened. But these clowns like Beck and everyone else, and look, I don't care if you like Beck or dislike Beck. I just want for the first time, for the sake of God, can't you just tell the truth? Our systems are shit. Dominion voting system, Smartmatic, ES&S, Clear Ballot, you name it, they're all in on it. Runbeck, Cathedral Printing. We do what we want. The ERIC system, 25 states that put together all their election data. The idea that it's China that went and got all the Social Security numbers and everything else. I did an entire report back in 2021 where I talked about Raul, who's now in a prison in Romania, who said, I worked for the CIA at Fox IT, that I've been trying to blow the whistle for 5 years. I took that information, walked it down, handed it over to Congress. You know what they did with it? Nothing. I went to meet with Pompeo and I meet with his counsel. I was like, here's the model of how they steal the elections. That little clown starts sweating and saying, why would they do that? And that's when we knew that they're all in on it. These cowardly cowards. We want to sniff asses, but we don't want to get down to the fact that if it stinks, let's do something about it. But the American people have to sit on the sideline. They have to take the loss. We have to lose people over in foreign wars that other countries get to dictate. All because we don't have a system where you get to choose your representative government. But they get up there and they say it all the time. We're a democracy. The fuck we are. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. It's never been about mob rule. And it certainly isn't about having the media and technocracies and all of these wealthy billionaires running the show while the American people suffer. A pantry is empty because gas prices are too high. It's affecting every part of their life. You got a state like the state of Colorado that has taken all the meat off the bone, and they're watching the American people bleed out. Little by little. Incrementalism. And we sit back and we watch it and we say, oh, yes, you're finally right. Yes, it's not about politics. It's much, much bigger than that. Of course it is. But we want to talk academically or institutionally about it and try to walk people slowly to the finish line. You know what? It's not that complicated. Let me just tell you how complicated it's not. Tina Peters is in jail serving a 9.5-year sentence because a judge decided to deny her the ability to have a defense. That's the reality. And the Court of Appeals very quickly should have looked at it and said, I asked this question, this question, and this question. But everything's a timetable, and they want to wait because the process is the punishment. The same that they did for the J6ers. The same that they've done over the last 3 decades. They've been stealing elections. And they got better and better and better at it. We had our own congressman that went out there and found Clinton Curtis and said, I want you to build a system that can go without detection. And then in 2005, just a year after he testified in Congress, you got a guy named Eric Coomer that is a drug-addicted Satanist, that he becomes the chief architect of a company that runs 17 states and the District of Columbia, all the votes. And for 15 years, they use a guy that's super smart, that knows how to build math. And he goes and sells it and pimps it. And he does all this stuff. And he finally comes out because he's the big dog. And they feel like they took everything. And he's like, hey, don't worry about it. Trump's not winning a second term. We took it in 2018. Look at this. We put the Democrats in charge. We're going to finish the job in 2020. They knew that he was popular with the people, Democrat, Republican, Independent, it didn't matter. People were tired of being slaves and they could feel it, they could see it. And the biggest enemy to the government they had ever seen and to these people, the judges, the lawyers, the Eric Coomers, the Dominions, the David Bellers, all of these people, the biggest enemy to the people that wanted to destroy everything about opportunity, the people. And they stood up on January 6th. And they said, this isn't right. We want a redress of our grievances. But they couldn't even do that right. They had to send government in and say, let's antagonize these people and shoot them in the face. And then when we're done with it, we'll call it an insurrection. And then we'll arrest a bunch of them and we'll let the process abuse them yet again. Over and over and over again. And for the next 6 years, you got guys like me. You got guys like Mike Lindell, who I don't agree with. There's no PCAPs. There's no space lasers coming down from China. There's just people that are betrayers, seditious betrayers inside of our own country that, just like Judas, sold out the country for a bag of silver. And here's what they didn't count on. They didn't count on us. But inside this movement, we've built this this political world. We've politicized everything that we've done. And inside of it, we built these little fiefdoms of people that say that they're patriots. They walk around, they spew the ridiculous like Julie Kelly. And you got Dan Bongino says, if you only knew how bad it is. Well, tell us. Wow, I'm not allowed to. Oh, by the way, I'm going to quit and go back to being a podcaster. And in the middle of that, he makes sure he picks up the phone and calls Chris at Rumble and says, I want you to censor this guy, Joe Oltmann. And don't tell me that's not what happened. Everybody can see it. And no matter how much truth I actually put out there, and there are others that do the same, this same little group of morons that move through the influencer market and forget about the very reason that they should be doing this to begin with. Nobody pays me to be on this podcast. Nobody pays me to fly all over the country, over 900 flights. And privately, they're like, man, this guy Joe's got courage. He's got balls of steel. While publicly, you got the same little people like the hairdresser, Sharona Bishop. A hairdresser. The reason why Tina Peters is in jail. Walking around saying, we're going to prop up this guy. The bipolar storyteller. All the way from Texas, come to Colorado and tell you again what you're supposed to think. And by the way, it all plays a part in it. The betrayers that just want that bag of silver for themselves. They want that power. They want to, and then you have people that are out there actually really fighting the fight. Doing it for the right reasons, unselfishly. And they're the ones that take most of the punches. They are. The next guest we have coming on, by the way, and I'm going to go through a couple more things, is another Tina Peters. A case almost identical to Tina Peters. Harry Waite in Wisconsin, Racine County, Wisconsin. He's an election integrity activist. He was an election integrity activist before I was. He runs a watchdog group called HOT, Hot Government, Honest, Open, and Transparent. He became nationally known in July 2022 when he used the myvote.wisconsin.gov portal to request absentee ballots in the name of Assembly members Robin Voss and Racine Mayor Corey Mason without their permission. to test and expose vulnerabilities in the online system, that he was trying to tell them there's a problem. There's a problem. They wouldn't listen. He did it to show them that the system was vulnerable. And when he found out, he went and told on himself. Brought him the ballots. Said, see, we've got to fix this problem. This is just another way that they're stealing the voice of the people of Wisconsin. Another whistleblower, and you know what they did? They went after him in court. The sheriff wouldn't charge him. I said, what are you talking about? There's a massive problem. He came out publicly and said there's a massive problem. But no. The Wisconsin Department of Justice on September 1st, 2022, because why would you let a slave tell you what's broken in a system that takes away the voice of the people you're trying to enslave? 2 felony counts of unauthorized use of an individual's personal identifying information. 2 misdemeanor counts of election fraud. Currently defending himself in the Walworth County Circuit Court. He rejected a plea deal. He had to plead guilty. You know, I remember that when they came after me, they're like, Joe, I broke open a corruption case in Colorado years ago. And, you know, because I'm a fighter, I don't like people doing bad shit to people. I just don't. And they're like, here's a speeding ticket, basically. So, you know, here's the equivalent of a parking ticket. And I was like, do I have to say I'm guilty? They're like, yeah. I said, pass. I'll take it to court. I spent $100,000 and I won. I not only won, I won a huge settlement. Because they came after me on one side and I was like, listen, that's why I am 1,000% committed to doing the right thing. And I don't care how it ends. It's really simple. Galatians 4:16, am I the enemy because I tell you the truth? And if I'm your enemy, so be it. But I'm going to continue to tell the truth, and I don't give a shit if you like it or not. That is what politics should be about. It should be about the people. So we're going to have Scott Milheiser. He's a Wisconsin-based political activist, commenter, longtime voice on election integrity and government accountability. He's on. We have Harry that's on. I want to tell you this. Scott ran as a Democrat in the Wisconsin State Assembly in District 41 in 2010. As a Democrat. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. Now let's go back to the beginning real quick. You know what? Forget it. I just want to bring this up real quick. There are posts that I'll talk about at the very end. I got about 40 minutes to go through this. I want to be able to have them on for enough time. So I'm going to wait for a minute. I'm going to come back to what's happening in Colorado. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I feel like I should. What's wrong with me? Let's go to post 3 real quick. This is Peter. This is how Peter put it up today. A3. This is emails between the Georgia Secretary of State's office and the Georgia IT cyber geeks. So I just want to be clear, okay? Let me just tell you something. You ready? Eric Coomer in September of 2020. September of 2020. Was on a call. Probably drunk. Probably. It's probably his thing. I wasn't on a call. Are you sure? And despite the fact that they have admitted there's a call and admitted they let Serbians in, admitted, you got to see this. Put it up. Emails between the Georgia Secretary of State's office and Georgia IT cyber geeks. Look who they found accessing their voting system. For those of you who don't know, an egress point is a place in a computer network where data leaves to go somewhere else, such as the internet. David Beller, just so you know, when I'm done with this lawsuit, I'm taking your law license. Charlie Kane, I'm coming for your law license. Brad Clower, I'm coming for your law license. I'm going to sue you guys into oblivion because you knew. And by the way, for those who think that I'm not okay, I am totally okay. I'm totally okay. Here's what you need to understand. There should be accountability for evil. Let's just look at this. What does this say? What does it say? Oh, I got to put it up on my little screen thing here. This is the craziest part about the whole thing. This is in October 21st. This is at gatech.edu. Oh, shit. Those look like egress points. Let me check something. Comes back, he goes, Dominion voting. You know what that means? Dominion voting system's in the system. In October of 2020, before the election, do you know what happened in Georgia? Is anybody paying attention to what happened in Georgia? As you put the pieces together, it becomes very easy. You got a guy that literally in the primary, his name's Eric Coomer, was the spokesperson for Dominion voting system saying, we just had to do an update. He's out there selling and pimping the product. He's giving people access, Serbians, access to the system. I don't write the code. No. Hey, don't worry about Trump, though. He's not going to win. I made effing sure of it. 3 days after the election, they didn't even call the election yet. Why is it important? Because there's not a whistleblower in this entire environment, from the FBI whistleblowers to the IRS whistleblowers to the people that came forward on the elections, whether you be in Georgia or Pennsylvania, or you have Stephanie Lambert, you have Matt DePerno that are still having problems up in Michigan, and we know what's going on there. And now we're going into an election deal, and they won't pass the SAVE Act, and you have this trash out there right before it in Georgia. When Little Boy Blue, the head of strategy and security, whose information out of the case for Dominion v. Patrick Byrne shows that he was intimately involved in what can only be described as criminal activity, who perjured himself in a grand jury investigation that led to President Trump himself being charged in Georgia by Fani Willis. Eric Coomer, still walking around. Oh, that's right, he's not. He left the country. This is what is disgusting about the fact that they knew. They knew. The government knew in 2020. Georgia knew. The governor of Georgia knew. The Secretary of State of Georgia knew. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations, when they confiscated the shredder truck, knew. The FBI, they knew. Chad Wolf at DHS knew. Pompeo knew. Bill Barr knew. You know, the only people that didn't know was the media, and that's because they were designed to cover up the crimes. Take it down. Break the chains. This is all going to lead into our conversation with Harry and with Scott. All of it. Colorado switched to mail-in ballots in 2013. In 2013, they went to mail-in ballots. 91% of ballots in the state of Colorado, mail-in. The list is here's the part you need to understand. The list is so long, but if you look at this list, it becomes impossible not to understand what is happening in our country. Impossible. Let's go through it, shall we? Oregon, 99% of mail-in ballots, 99%. Washington, 98.5. Hawaii, 92.5. Utah, 91.5. Colorado, 91.3. California, 80.8. And do you want to know the one areas that are the 80.8 that are not mail-in ballots happen to be the most conservative areas? Arizona, 74%. Vermont, 64%. Indiana, 53%. District of Columbia, 51%. Since Colorado went to full mail-in ballots, thanks to a guy named Wayne Williams, the betrayer on the Republican side that brought Dominion voting systems to Colorado and tried to sue every county and bully them into using only one system, Dominion voting systems. 3 counties rejected it. They won. I don't even know what the payday was for old Wayne Williams, but it had to be good. And the one thing he did do is he sold his soul when he did it. And if that's not enough, I want you to watch this for a second. Actually, just bring them on. Bring Scott and Harry on. I want them to hear this too. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. You need to unmute yourself. Harry.
No.
Harry, you there?
I am here.
Scott, you there? You got to hit the unmute button. You got to do it yourself. I can send a Democrat over to help you. Harry, they gave you probation. You've gone through a lot over the last 4 years.
I got it.
The state has gone through much more. When you look at what's happened in the last several years, we've been fighting election integrity since late 2019, early 2020. So we started with our, and it's been a battle since then. So when you have to fight government, I'm a believer. I see Scott sworn his shirt, but I believe that tyranny has got to. What's the term I use, Scott? Sorry, I suffered a stroke, so I don't want to use that as an excuse. But tyranny, what's the word I use?
I'm trying to think, Harry.
Harry,
Right,
tell everyone you suffered a stroke. Getting off of this train would have been really easy for you. They basically said no harm, no foul.
It would have. Yes.
Live out the rest of your life. And you said what, Harry?
I said no deal. I said we've got a republic to save, and we got people all over the state that fight harder than I do. And so I was in a position to tell the government that there's no deal, that they either discharge us or we go to trial and trial.
And in the trial, you have a judge in this case. This judge is saying you don't have a defense, and even though you were trying to whistleblow on a program so they would fix the problem, which, by the way, have they fixed the problem, Harry?
No. My vote, there's still no username or password required. Anybody around the world can order anybody's ballot and have it shipped somewhere. So they've done nothing. I see an issue. The really.
We have this. This is you holding a ballot that he obtained through using the Wisconsin voting website. Let's put that up real quick. This is you holding the ballot. Now this is pre you having a stroke, by the way.
That's correct.
And look, nobody fought harder. I got to tell you, I remember coming out there. Nobody fights harder than you have, right? And you're what's that?
Well, we have a lot of good people. When you look at hot government, it's all volunteer, and we have people all over the state. So we've grown quite a bit. And these are all volunteers, and they all want election integrity, and they know it's not there.
But then you have the Racine Sheriff's Office, I'll put that up there, contacted the complainants who have reported the vulnerabilities to the fraudulent voting system. And he puts this up, and it basically says that you basically turn that stuff over to the sheriff's office, and that there are grave concerns. Like, he put this up there. He didn't put that up there as like, oh, I'm gonna come after you. He put it up there because he wanted everyone to know the voting systems being used had this vulnerability, right?
That's correct. In 2021, he had issued. Criminal charges against 4 of the WEC members with Wisconsin Election Commission. He actually recommended charges for Ann Jacobs, Don Millis, and for Mark. I forgot his last name. And George Wasserman, but he actually recommended criminal charges because he had done an extensive investigation that used Eric Dell out of Minnesota, and realized that the commissioners had voted something very illegal, and so he recognized that the DA and the AGA would not follow his recommendations.
So they didn't follow the recommendations. The sheriff said that those people should be charged with a crime.
That's correct.
He made the recommendation to the DA's office, and the DA's office said what?
Said we're not going to charge fellow government officials.
Not gonna charge a fellow government official. Now, Harry. So Harry, I think everyone needs to know this. Share this, by the way. You have to share this. Even if you share it after the fact, listen to it, share it. You have to share it, okay? You have to share this. You're being charged with election fraud because you tested a system, it failed, you then took that with the intent of showing them the system failed, handed them the ballots, and said, here, this is broken still. Can you fix it? People can use this in order to fraudulently vote. Correct?
Just to highlight that in 2016, in the Wisconsin national election, we had 12,000 absentee ballots that were issued. In 2020, there was national Wisconsin election. There's 1.1 million.
Say that again. How many million?
1.33 million.
All right.
Absentee ballots were issued.
1.33 million absentee ballots.
Correct.
And of those absentee ballots, there's nothing to say that those absentee ballots were legitimate.
Well, the vast majority of them probably weren't. I mean, you got to see. I don't know what the percentage is, but you go from 12,000 in 2016 to 1.33 million in 2020. You have a series.
All right, how many do they have in 2022 and 2024? Do we know?
I don't know those numbers. I don't have them available.
Scott?
I do not know that number either, Joe.
But I will tell you that the Wisconsin Election Commission is more concerned about covering and protecting their my vote system than they are fixing it. And I will tell you, in a nationally advertised August 28th of 2022, one of the commissioners said, I thought we were here to protect Speaker Voss rather than protecting the ballot and protecting the my vote system. He was more concerned about protecting Speaker Voss.
Speaker Voss, the same one that said that you have massive voter fraud in Wisconsin in 2021, that same one?
That same one. And we also have them on video in August 25th of 2021, stating that the election machines are not connected to the internet. We have him on video with that one.
So he was lying.
Oh, yes. He's a very disingenuous person.
Scott, you reached out to me. I hadn't really followed the Harry's plight up until this point. You're like, Joe, we have to know about this. So tell me, You keep fighting. You fight right next to Harry. Tell me why.
Why? Because I have so much respect for him. You know, you talked about passion and you talked about a big set, and I've never known a man, and I don't know too many men, Joe, or women, faced with what Harry's faced with when they offered that plea deal. I'm not sure that a lot of people wouldn't have taken that deal. And Harry has become my hero, and I will fight. I will walk through fire for this man, and it's why I reached out to you, Joe, because we're about to see Tina Peters all over again. And you talked about his defense, and Harry can chime in anytime he wants here. But at his pretrial hearing, the things that judge was saying, you know, we talked, and I shared that with you. We talked about motive and intent, and how this judge seems to think that motive and intent don't really have a place in the trial. That's more appropriate for sentencing. And I don't have the verbatim.
That actually is not true. Right? Intent is what the law is written on. Intent. You have to have intent in order to charge someone with a crime. No, excuse me. For the crime to be committed, you have to have intent.
Right.
You have a state attorney general that is very engaged in lawfare. I mean, he's trying to silence his critics, and that's where it's at. So, when you talk about it, talk about mens rea. Mens rea is the intent, and they buried Tina Peters because the motions eliminate, and I know you followed that case very.
So what people don't understand is eliminate means the ability to limit the information related, and in this case, related to the defense. So Harry's saying, listen, I did this. It's like saying you did this, but you were doing this because you're doing an investigation, like Tina did an investigation. She was uncovering fraud inside the government. The act of what she did, uncovering the fraud, is what they're saying she did wrong. They're saying Harry went in there and did something to prove that the system they had was designed to defraud the voters of Wisconsin. But as a result of doing that, they're saying you still touched the buttons in order to send the ballot. And even though you brought the ballot into us and said, I told you it doesn't work, you're charged with 4 crimes. Is that exactly what happened?
That's close, yes.
And could I just want to reiterate, Joe, that, from the moment Harry decided to do this, sitting at a county fair booth, everything has been documented. It was videotaped as he was doing it. Harry presented the unopened ballots to his sheriff. I mean, everything has been done. It's been documented why he was doing it, and they don't want to hear it because they don't want to allow WEC to be brought into this hearing. And this is a problem that still exists today. And you already said it. My wife, who's a Republican, who helped me unmute, Joe, she was able to secure her absentee ballot without an ID by simply clicking the indefinitely confined box on my vote. That's all it was needed to avoid providing an identification. And she could have sent that ballot anywhere in the world. That problem exists today. It existed in July of 2022 when Harry did it, and it's still a problem in Wisconsin.
All right. I want to put this up. This is the Judge Johnson's statements about the Waite trial, that intent does not matter. Put it up. Oh, you put it up? Here we go. This just goes through the trial itself. And I want to point this out because I think it's important that you understand. I don't have it. I can't really read it here. But normally someone's reason for violating the law isn't relevant at trial. That's what the judge says. It certainly is relevant at the time of sentencing hearing. The judge then says, their reasoning behind why they did what they did or what caused them to do what they decided to do. But absent an affirmative defense, generally, why someone violated the law wouldn't be something that would come into a trial. So that's really what this is, what you're saying. I have good reason for what I'm doing. It's called a whistleblower status. You're whistleblowing on a system that they will not fix. and now telling you that, Harry, you are a criminal for trying to point it out.
That's correct.
And I will also add that that this same judge who said this, wanted to suggest that by allowing this in, he would be setting a precedent for other criminals to steal identity and when they're pulled over for speeding, to avoid getting a speeding ticket, and challenging the police officers that they would do their due diligence to prove the identity of the person. I mean, this is how absurd this has gotten. It's crazy.
Okay, so how do we get to the bottom of this? When's the trial? Starts Monday?
Starts Monday, 8:30 a.m.
Who in here has do we have the address? We have the address on Monday?
It's 717 Wisconsin Avenue, Racine, Wisconsin. It's the law enforcement center.
I might actually get arrested for screaming in a thing on Monday. Hold on a second, checking something real quick. What am I doing Monday? It's 7:30 on Monday?
8:30, I believe. I'm not sure. It'll be jury selection, but 8:30 to 5 is scheduled both days.
Let's get an address. Give us the address. Give us the address right now on the show. What's the address?
717 Wisconsin Avenue in Racine, Wisconsin.
All right. Who do we have that we know that's in Racine? Anybody? You're in the comments and you know people in Racine. I need you to comment. I'm going to try it. Who knows that area? Anyone? Give me some comments. Who's in Racine? Who is listening right now that's in Racine? That's a great phone number. Their phone number over there is 262-636-3332. Who's there? You could bring a camera and be in the press area. I might do that. Who's going to meet me there at the trial? I might send someone. I might go myself. I have to see. I have to see. But I'm telling you right now, who's there? Who's there?
I'm there, Joe. I hope that you can help us round up thousands of people to be there, because that's what we need.
If you're in Wisconsin right now, you're part of an organization and you're not doing something right now to make sure that you cancel work on Monday and Tuesday to be in that courtroom and be loud and proud, I don't know what to say. Reader 55, you better get there. You get 10 people, Reader. Get 10 people and you get there. Get there. Hellcat, where are you at? How far are you away? How far? If you're within a couple hours, you should get there. How many people can we get to Racine, Wisconsin, to 717 Wisconsin Avenue in Racine, Wisconsin, and get there at 8:30? We get there a little early, 7:30, 8 o'clock on Monday. Be prepared. Take this.
And I can tell you, Joe, that on our way, my wife and I, we will be picking up the People's Governor, Tim Rampton, and his wife, because they will be there. So come on down and join us. It's going to be we need to raise some hell.
2 days, guys, 2 days. Take off 2 days of your life and be there for Harry. Every time that judge says something, you guys need to get loud. He's going to say, I'm going to clear the courtroom. We're disgusted by it. These rotted black robes. We're disgusted by them and the rotted attorney. They're all attorneys, by the way. They're all part of that little club, this little demon club. Harry, you're going to go through and you're going to violate every bit of the in limine. You're going to violate every bit of the part where they tell you you're not allowed to talk about it, and you're going to talk about it, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to do what I can. You know, I hired a very good attorney named Joe Bugney. He's mad. He's also been covering Michael Gableman, if you remember that name.
I know Michael Gableman, the Supreme Court Justice, yes.
Correct. He's also, his group is also doing Jim Trupis. He's a very good man, and he has a very good strategy. But, you know, as I told, with the corrupt government officials, and, you know, he's got to play ball. he's got an attorney license that they can sanction. Things get too out of hand, but they don't like me because I try to go pro se whenever I can.
They're not going to sanction you. Here's what I'm going to tell you to do, Harry. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to rename you Harry Big Balls. Wait, it is Harry Big Balls. Wait, and the fact that it's Harry Big Balls should tell you everything you need to know.
Well, funny in May of 2023, you and I kicked out a couple protesters up in the Avery, Wisconsin group. I don't know if you remember that time in Avery, Wisconsin, but
yes.
It was May of 2023. We escorted some people out.
Oh, you remember what I did?
I remember.
Yeah, I threw his phone on the ground. Pulled out his pocket, threw it. Dared him. I dared him.
Yeah,
I was gonna punch that guy flat in the throat. I was ready.
Yeah,
and the police officer walked out. He's like, "Hey, you walk away." And I was like, "No, I was just waiting for him."
Yeah. That was actually a good day.
Yeah, it was a very good day. Yeah. So we got a couple people. We got let's see here. United Him says, "I'll tell my cousins." Good. Hellcat Charlie, you need to get out there. You used to just making a trip, go out there. See what other comments we got here. We need to fill the room. How many people? I don't know. 1,000? Make it difficult on them.
Yeah.
Make it difficult on them. And then be prepared to go into the courtroom. Every time the judge talks, say, shame, shame, shame. Shame them. I'm bringing people.
That sounds great, but I think you have to also maintain pressure to Tina Peters because she's a paid civil servant. She really did a great job.
Listen, we're not nobody wants Tina out more than I do, Harry.
I know you
why?
Do. I've been watching it.
For two reasons. I have some selfish reason too. I was joking about it when we were there the other night. So I pay Tina a salary, have for years, right? So I need her to get out so I can stop paying her a salary, at least a salary for having to be in jail, right? So it's a sacrifice that my wife and I have made. We've done this for years. We do it so that she can keep her house, keep her things. So I laugh about that. It's kind of a joke that I say with Tina, but the reality of it is I'll do it for 9 years if I have to. I pray to God that we're willing to do things that we're supposed to do in order to make sure we take care of Tina Peters, which we have not done.
Doing that because she's a very important person. She did her job, and I know she has great support. But there again, a crooked judge and a crooked DA did the motions eliminate and really denied her due process of law.
You got is that Harbridge? Is that the Harbridge I know? I've been sending the dates to everyone. Okay, good. Jen says we have one person that's driving 6 hours one way that's going.
That's people from northwest side of Wisconsin. There's a lot of good people in Wisconsin.
There's a ton of good people in Wisconsin.
Yeah, there really is. And
you know why I'm coming? I might not. I'm just trying to make sure I can get there Monday or Tuesday. I'm going to get there, but you know why I'm coming? I need a Kringle.
Yeah, they got.
I need a Kringle, Harry. If you guys don't know what Kringles are amazing.
You show up and we'll make sure that you take some home with you too.
All right. Yeah. Harry, how do people support you? How do they follow you? Is there a way they can follow you and support you?
Well, Scott Milheiser has his own show with AJ the Rip Rabbit Hole, and Hot Government. People could follow me in Hot Government to see what we're doing. But pretty much, I've taken this as being something that, and you know this well. It costs you a lot of money to do what you do, and I've asked for no funds from anybody because I'm doing this because it, so you can follow with WCCA records to see what the court has agreed to. But I really don't do much social media. Scott will bow to that.
Scott does.
I do a lot of social media.
Scott, I need you.
Joe-
I need you. I need you to give me the final. I need you to tell us what's going on. I need you to tell us from your own word. I didn't get to speak very much, so talk to us.
So I met Harry almost 5 years ago, and Harry has become a brother to me. I love Harry like a brother, and I would walk through fire for him. What he's done for the state of Wisconsin, he's the most humble man you will ever meet. I've seen Harry at his best physical condition, and I've seen him when he had his stroke, and I've seen how hard he has fought back to get to the point where he can continue standing with us, fighting corruption, and making our election safe again. And I admire this man so much. And if you've never met Harry, Monday and Tuesday is the time to meet him. Come, I just need people in Racine to put the pressure on this system that we're not going to incarcerate whistleblowers like Harry Waite, like they've done to Tina Peters. We're not going to stand for it. And that's what I need. I need everybody to come to Racine and support this man.
I don't think there's any other thing that they can do at this point that I would find more. I will tell you that at some point you have to do the right thing. So I'm asking you to do the right thing. Let's see here. God bless you all from Michelle in Polk County, Northwestern Wisconsin Patriots. Harry is so humble and a servant. You got a lot of support here, Harry.
A lot of good people in Wisconsin. A lot of very good people. And fortunately, the majority of the people still go to the polls. So when you talk about 1.33 million absentee ballots, that means about 3 million people voted non-absentee, went to the polls. And, there's a lot of ground support. But, we've got to recover this thing. And, that's what we want to do.
Well, I tell you what, I'm grateful for you, Harry. I will see you Monday or I'll see you Tuesday, but I will see you. And you better get your Kringles ready.
Yeah,
We'll have Kringles.
Yeah, we'll get them.
I love some Kringles, and I'll be battle ready when I get there. Hopefully, they don't arrest me for contempt of court. That would suck. They might.
You'll be with a lot of good people.
Well, I look forward to it, gentlemen. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for standing next to Harry and for being your brother's keeper. There's nothing bigger than that. No bigger honor.
You, Scott.
Thank you so much, Joe, for having us on and giving us a platform to share what's happening in Wisconsin with the world.
Well, I am my brother's keeper too, and I think that's the thing we have to understand. So I'll check back in with you guys, and I'll see you guys Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again, Joe.
Thanks, gentlemen. Whew. You know, we often, when we're on a podcast, we try to make it about clicks. I've been fighting against this for, man, it's been a long time, man. This is the crazy part about this is that we never seem to get to a place where where we actually solve the problem, because you always got someone trying to stand in the way. You got, John Thune. Now you have, what is it? Who's the Alaska senator? Merkel? No, Alaska. Merkel? Is it Murkowski? Yeah, Murkowski. Now Murkowski's standing against the SAVE Act. It's like a dog and pony show. They just move it around. What does she care? It's a ranked choice voting. Fixed system. They'll find a way to put her back in and reward her, or maybe they won't. They'll just give her a couple $1 million and make sure she gets her pound of silver. The entire system is rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged to the end. And I'm not just saying it's like we can't resolve it, because we can. We can resolve it. We absolutely can resolve it. But you guys have to be the ones to step in the gap too. So meet me in Racine, Wisconsin. I just came up with the idea that I'm going to be there. I know we're going to be doing a podcast from Racine, gentlemen. To do that Monday? All right, let's do it. Is it Murkowski's a Democrat? Is she a Democrat? I don't think so. No, they have a lone. Let me look it up real quick. don't want to misgender a senator. Let's see here. Boop, 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 boop. She's a Republican. Oh, you're just kidding me. Okay, I get it. Chris, come on now. Rhino. Okay, see, I'm behind on my comments. Here's what I will tell you. We know these people are traitors. Let's call them what they are. Everyone says, I got on this comment deal and I called this guy retarded. And they're like, you're running for public office and you called someone retarded. And I was like, well, stop being retarded and I won't call you retarded. And everybody wants to get mad over a word. But you don't want to get mad at the fact that you're a slave, that you give up 60 cents on every dollar, 56 cents on every dollar, that your property tax went through the roof, that you can barely eat, your gas prices are $5 a gallon. Everywhere you turn, they have made you a slave. And you want to sit here and talk to me about a word? I don't want to hear it. Stop being retarded. I won't call you retarded. They're like, that's not government. You can't be a governor and say that stuff. I'm so sorry. Here, let me do it for you. I'm gonna do it for you real quick. Then I'm gonna pray us out. I want to invite all of you guys out, and I want you to know that we're gonna fight to make this the safest state in America. And what it's gonna take is gun control and letting prostitutes run everywhere, and they have to register with the state so we can be their pimp. Oh, and if raping children is good, you can do one child 3 times before you go to jail. So it's a holiday. Oh, and if you are, mentally defective, we're going to just let you out on the street and you can do whatever you want and hurt more people in Colorado. Oh, and smile, camera, I am here for you, democracy. No. Now, I'm a warrior for the people. I've spent 6 years fighting. I'm going to continue to fight. And the people of Colorado deserve somebody that can be a CEO that knows how to be a CEO and run the show in Colorado and doesn't give a crap about people's feelings inside the government that is trying to steal and grift for them and have done so much grifting over the last 8 years that the state is nearly unrecognizable. And it's not just the people that are inside the Colorado government that are grifting. It's the judges that are basically making bad calls and ignoring law in order to destroy the lives of people in Colorado, acting as the bully pulpit, the enforcer for the bad people in government, who, by the way, are embroiled in some of the biggest corruption scandals that could ever hit Colorado or any state for that matter. I have no interest. I have an interest in restoring and giving back my brothers and sisters what was never yours to take. So I will call people retarded up one side and down the other. Because retarded is what it is. Evil is what it is. And if retarded offends you and nothing else offends you, and you're not out fighting against this obvious evil that has taken over our state and put us in a state of absolute servitude, absolute slavery, in every part, then the only person that is a problem is you. And you probably need to leave the state. Go to California or something. Leave. Because you're a traitor to the people of Colorado. I don't want to hear about it. I want to hear about some word. I want to hear about the fact that you're protecting our children and you're stopping this degradation. That's what I want to hear. And that's why the people in Racine and around Racine, and if you're in Wisconsin, you need to get down there and you need to support Harry. Because intent does matter, and being a whistleblower and showing them that their system is absolutely fraudulent should not lead to you being prosecuted and persecuted. That shouldn't be the case. All right. Let's pray it out. Father God, thank you for these amazing people. Thank you for Harry. Thank you for Harry having huge courage. You thought I was going to say something different, Father. I couldn't do that here. Father, we're grateful for our sense of humor. We're grateful for being able to smile at times where you just want to cry. We're grateful for the courage that you've instilled in us, the tenacity, the ability to stand together. We're grateful, Father, for the unselfish desire for so many to serve and for your blessing and protection that you put over us while we go out every day and do the things we know you want us to do. We also recognize, Father, that we have leaders and positions and there are a lot of bad things happening and good things that are happening that we think are bad. And And I just ask you to give us discernment, give us the ability to continue to push through this. More importantly, Father, I ask you that you would give us the ability to have grace on our fellow brothers and sisters. Democrat or Republican, Independent, doesn't matter. Help us so we may find common ground in a one place that does not involve any sort of evil deeds that would be done against people in our community. Help us land there. Father, I ask you to bless our leaders, bless President Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, and the other leaders in this cabinet and the people downstream that are actively fighting this war that, frankly, I think is wrong, but I also recognize that I don't have all the chips, I don't have all the cards. But help us, Father, that we may not fight battles for other people who have been doing evil things to other people for very, very long times. And help us, Father, that we may stay focused on the prize, which is restoration, restoring you to our country, to our community, to our schools, to everything that is the ethos of humanity. And help us that we may bring others to you, Father, and serve. Make service the thing that defines us most. I ask these things, Father. Oh, and I ask a prayer on Harry that when he goes in on Monday, they say, case dismissed, and they walk him out. That they do the right thing for once in their miserable lives, that they do the right thing. I say these things, Father, humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Go there. And yeah, there is, Scott's going to have a podcast night on rippinrabbithole.com, 8 o'clock. And you got the Freedom Flame on Fridays. So go check them out. All right, guys. We will see you soon. I got to write some stuff still for this governor stuff. But God bless you, and remember, it's not about you. Unselfish service. And homework assignment for all of you. 1 John 3:16. Not John 3:16. 1 John 3:16. Go ahead and drop it in one of my comments on one of the socials and tell me what it means for you. Any of my socials, Facebook, X, doesn't matter. Tag me and tell me what 1 John 3:16 should mean for you. All right, God bless you. I'll see you soon.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the nights. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah.